Hello everyone, Messi got his wish, the World Cup is done and now the real business can continue. This is SUTV Live and we're following Sheffield United to Wigan for their final match before Christmas. Before kick-off we'll hear from Sander Berge on his return from injury, there's Iliman Ndiaye on his return from the World Cup, and we'll get the views of the manager Paul Heckingbottom on tonight's game and the importance of the festive period. Kick-off just under an hour away, and remember, for all of the match pass information and broadcasting regulations for tonight's match, go to the website sufc.co.uk. Hello again, great to be back. The first game after the World Cup, and where better to start than Wigan. That's where Sheffield United head tonight, looking to cement their place in the top two of the Championship table. And as ever, to help guide us through tonight's coverage, two ex-Blades. One, an absolute Blades legend, and once described by Dave Bassett as the greatest player ever to feature for Sheffield United. And Kevin Gage is here as well. Evening, chaps. Starts to mean to go on. You all right?
I thought you were going to do it the other way around. Oh, Dino's here.
It was only ever going to be you, Brian, wasn't it?
Have you not read the script, Dino? Come on.
Who writes these scripts anyway?
Me, I do it. Come on, Brian.
Respect.
Thank you. First of all, Kevin, how are you? You well?
Yeah, fabulous.
In the Christmas spirit?
Not in me at the moment, but we're getting there.
Oh, well, this time. Brian, good to see you.
Yes.
How does it feel to be watching Sheffield United in the Championship after the drama that we've seen in the last 24 hours over in Qatar?
Oh, it's like when you've been dining out on... no, I better not go there. No, it's good to get back to proper action, really. I mean, the World Cup is always a kind of a grift out of the mind. And, so it'd be good to see how the game's going to develop today. Obviously, we've got Iliman who was out there. It's going to be interesting to see how he adapts back in now as well.
Shall we have a look at the team then? Sheffield United making one change tonight. Berge is in from the start. Osborne drops out. Slight hamstring issue, we're told, for Ben Osborne tonight. So just the one change from the Huddersfield win. Billy Sharp making his 350th appearance for Sheffield United as well, so a bit of a landmark game for him, and this was a landmark fixture for him a few years ago, which we'll touch on a little bit later on. But Kevin, first of all, your reaction to that team, you Sander in and
really pleased to see Sander back in. Obviously, everybody knows his quality, we all know what he's capable of. He needs to do a little bit better than he did when he came on last week as sub, because he didn't look up to speed at all. But he's had another, week's training behind him, and I'm sure he'll get back to where he is. So yeah, really happy with the team. Me personally, I think that's probably our strongest defence. Looking at it there, we've got Kieran Clark again. Good to see him back, and he needs a run in the team. We've hardly figured this season, and we know about his quality, Premiership quality player. So yeah, really good defensive unit, and hopefully we've got enough in attack to score some goals and win the game.
Happy with that, Brian?
Yeah, very much. It looks a very solid side. Some very good players in that starting lineup as well, all the way through. So very confident about tonight. To be honest, I'm not really somebody who likes to throw my hat into the ring straight away, but could be interesting. And the fact that you've mentioned Billy being a landmark game for him, I'm, as a centre forward, it was always around those periods where you were either playing against somebody, a goalkeeper you like playing against, or you were making your 100th appearance. I won't be surprised if he gets on the score sheet tonight.
Whenever he's called upon, usually he does the business, doesn't he? I mean, he's got to, I suppose, mentally, and he may have done this already, but get to grips with the fact that he's probably not first choice striker anymore.
I'm sure he's experienced enough to realise that. I mean, I think he's 37, isn't he, in February or something ridiculous. I mean, to keep going, to have that longevity is quite amazing. So he's not stupid. He knows his limitations. He knows where he's going to be used. And to be fair, we write him off every year, don't we? I've been doing it for 2 or 3 years. I've learnt my lesson. So I think he's probably good. He might have another year or two at Sheffield United yet. We shall see.
And touching on Iliman, we'll hear from Iliman Ndiaye a little bit later on. How do you think that World Cup experience will have helped him in terms of his footballing education, Brian?
I think it's a difficult one, because he's gone from playing with the best players in the world, to all of a sudden it's a Tuesday night. Sorry, it's a Monday, isn't it?
Yeah. Monday. It's a Monday night.
Monday night at Wigan, and there will be some adjustments that he has to make. But, you know, he'll be back and he'll be thinking, right, okay, I've had a taste, I want more. This is a great opportunity for him. We know what a wonderful player he is. So I'm sure that getting him back into the squad would have been key for the rest of the players as well.
We might touch on this a little bit later on. January's just around the corner. The manager said all along that in terms of business that he wants to do, all he cares about is keeping this squad of players together. There's undoubtedly going to be clubs looking at Ilman. We'd be naive to think they're not, given his form and his goals to games ratio and how he's really stepped up to the plate again this season. But that is crucial, isn't it, Kevin, that Paul can keep this core group of players together, especially.
Yeah, but Ilman and Jai is the key to everything we do going forward. You know, we cannot afford to lose Ilman and Jai. He's not for sale. If anybody's out there, he's not for sale. Put it that way. I think we should lock him in a room or something and take away his phone or something. You know, and just bring him out for match days. We just can't afford to lose him.
I'd be very surprised if anything happened in this window. I think that from the club's point of view, it crashes the season because you know we've built the team is built around what he brings to the table. So to go out there, even if you get a lot of money for him, to go out there and try and make adjustments. We've seen clubs try to do that in the past and it just doesn't work. You know, so if somebody comes in, maybe it's if. You know, look, none of us are naive here, but a summer would be...
I think Ilman and Jai will be a Premiership player next season. Now, hopefully that would be Sheffield United, but if for some reason we falter and we don't make it, I fully expect, you know, there will be bids for him in the summer.
Yes,
but let's hope, hand on heart, let's hope we can keep him in January.
Fingers crossed, here to that. So phones off here at Sheffield United where Ilman and Jai is concerned. Right, let's head over to the DW Stadium where Wes Foderingham is getting ready for action, but a short while ago he took time out to have a quick word with us.
No easy games in this division, Wes, and you expecting a tough one tonight?
Yeah, it's always difficult when you come away from home. New manager in place here, so we're expecting a reaction from them. Yeah, tough game, and we'll have to be our best to win.
Settled back five, so that helps you, does it, with the preparation?
Yeah, I think we've been going strong. The back five have been doing really well. Defensively, we've been doing our job, and hopefully we'll continue that tonight.
What do you have to bring to games like this to get over what's going to be a tough game, just to bring home those points?
Energy, intensity. Obviously, they'll fancy themselves being at home, so we need to make sure that we're energetic, get about the park, and impose ourselves on the game.
Good luck, mate.
Well, Sheffield United looking to continue their winning run of form. Of course, before the international break, they won. And when they returned from the World Cup break, they won. Let's have a look back at the Huddersfield game.
The Championship is back underway. Sheffield United looking to maintain their form from just before the break. 4 wins from 5 have got them back inside the top 2. It's the near post area. Comes for Osborne. Flicks around the corner. Can Sharp get something on this? He can. It's a lovely play from McAtee. McAtee still going here. McAtee's open up for him. Great block. Space here for Njayi. Takes the invitation to come into the box. Shot from distance from Ollie Norwood. Njayi rides a couple of challenges. I think Leeds actually took out his own man. Here's Billy Sharp, chance for the first of the season for the skipper. And he accepts the invitation. And United are in front. It's been a long wait for Billy Sharp. But wonderful finish after great work from Njayi. And United lead Huddersfield by 1-0. Lots of time here for McAtee to pick out an effort. He's headed over the bar. Second half is back underway. Can United go on and complete the job here? This is where we want him. Njayi into the area. Eliminate Njayi. Straight at the keeper. Lovely flick from the Bosnian. Back to Bolok. Ahmad Oric now into the penalty area for United. Can he get a second bite of it? He can't. Usual protagonist up from the back. In goes the corner. A lot of shirt pulling there, and it was Egan coming onto it. Both sides appealing for this. Deep one. A lot of pushing and shoving in the area. Appeals from the Sheffield United supporters, mainly for a penalty there. So much going off. Here's Khadra.
Trot.
And still, Khadra into the area. Deflection on the effort. Burney jostling in there. There's the header. Footing by Osborne. Khadra with the spin. Rida Khadra still going. Is there end product? He finds McBurney. And then Berger fires over. There is the full-time whistle. Sheffield United have got over the line.
Brilliant.
Look at the Huddersfield players.
Well, after that game, the Sheffield United manager Paul Heckingbottom reflected on a job well done.
You're really pleased with the points. Overall, the performance, I think, first half there were some real exceptional moments. Second half is more a case of getting the job done because we weren't as fluid and dominant. So towards the end we had to dig in. But yeah, I felt comfortable on the side. But we've said it many times, when there's only one goal in it, you're always really wary. And a second goal would have been nice to ease everyone's nerves, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, really good first half. A second goal perhaps would have made it a lot more comfortable for you. You got the job done in the end, which is what you needed. Yeah,
with a good goal. There's lots of things first half we prepared for, and the lads delivered. It was really good. Second half, not so good. A couple more loose passes, not turning them or having the out ball, turning them just so like we put him behind. But we had some fantastic diagonal balls first half, none second half. So because they're so compact and retreating behind the ball, we have to move it quick to get through them, or we always have to have one to get over them or around them, and we're still trying to get through them but not over or around. So that was the thing with the ball. Without it, again, because we were so dominant first half, we reacted really well. It was just a case of us, we lost the ball, reacted it, won it back. Second half, we needed a bit more detail because they made a few passes, and it was almost as if we'd forgot that because we didn't have to do it first half. So yeah, those were two things why I think it got not as dominant and a bit frustrating for a second half. But yeah, it's a good performance. It just probably took the gloss off an exceptional one.
Well, Iliman Ndiaye played his part in that one, of course, setting up Billy Sharp for the goal. It's been a whirlwind few weeks, hasn't it, for the Senegalese star? And he himself has been struggling to try and make sense of it all.
Obviously, yeah and no, because I just after obviously the World Cup was finished, I was already focused on this game. So, but like I've just enjoyed it up there. I really loved it.
I imagine it's quite a learning experience as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I really learned a lot there. Obviously playing the big games, important games. So like for example, the Ecuador one, obviously we needed to win that game to qualify, but yeah, learned a lot.
Gives you a taste for more?
Oh yeah, that just makes you like, you just want to go to the next one, you know what I'm saying? So you're just going to work harder and harder.
So what about today's game then? Because almost the result more important than the performance today?
I think so, yeah, but obviously the performance to get the 3 points was more important, kind of, in a way. Like, so if we didn't perform, because obviously it's 1-0, they could have chances to score, but everyone was sticking to their jobs, and obviously we got the win.
Talk us through the goal, because you played the key pass, and the weight seemed to be perfect, so I don't think Billy had to take a touch.
Yeah, I think Billy's done a very good finishes. That's what it's all about. Obviously, with my dribbling, it's kind of what I kind of do. But I've seen him after I just turned and just played him. I kind of got stuck in my feet.
You didn't look like it?
No, I kind of did, because I'm not used to play with studs. Obviously, the weather and the pitch, I had to. Yeah.
What about Billy? Because certainly from where we were sat, he is competitive. We heard that from Jack O'Connell, but it meant a lot to get off the mark today.
Yeah, it really did. Obviously, he hasn't scored in a while, so I'm sure that goal today really means a lot to him, to the team as well, and obviously getting his confidence back high.
Iliman Ndiaye there. Kevin, how would you sum up that performance against Huddersfield?
I thought we did for the team, or Iliman?
For the team.
For the team, I think it was a difficult game because Huddersfield didn't offer an awful lot, so it was up to us to be creative and break them down. And I thought we started really, really well, to be honest. And the first half, I mean, they hardly got a kick. It was all blades all the way through. And we weren't as clinical, and our decision making wasn't brilliant in the final third with our final balls. We could have actually created a lot more than we actually did. We didn't have enough shots at goal for our possession. But as Hecky said there, it was kind of a job well done, and I think we'd have all accepted 3 points however it came last Saturday. It's always difficult to come back after one of those breaks. We've suffered in the past on the short 2-week international breaks, so to have that 3-4 week World Cup break, I think that was a bit of a shock to the system. It does take time to get your momentum back.
Was that a different way of winning against Huddersfield, do you think? And how important is it that Sheffield United find different ways to win a game of football.
Well, we ground it out in the end, which seems weird because we're at home. Our home form's not brilliant this season, by the way. We're only fifth in the home form table this season, yet we're second in the league. On the converse of that, our away form's fantastic. We're second in the away form table. So we ground it out at home, whereas usually we go on and win those games, 2 and 3-0 in an ideal world. But yes, I never felt in any danger against Huddersfield. I always thought they weren't good enough to trouble us, really. And had they got a goal back, I think we'd have upped our game and maybe got a second and maybe a third. But it was just important to get the 3 points, get a few players back in the first team action, get them a bit fitter, and then we can move on.
Are you getting a good feeling about this squad and what potentially they could do this season, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, obviously last season was disappointing, the way how everything unfolded and ended up just missing out. But I have to say, it's been a real solid start. They've played very good football. We have had to make adjustments at times, losing personnel and so on. But it's been very consistent. And, sometimes when you're actually at the top of the league and you're number one, and you've got the target on your back, and I just feel that the way how the team and the squad are managing themselves is really good, and it's really important that we go after this period of time now. We're going into the spring, with a kind of momentum.
Are Sheffield United more concerned with what Burnley are doing? I think I know what the answer is, but I'm asking it anyway. Or more concerned with what the teams below are up to?
Everybody expected Burnley to do really well this season. It's no surprise to see them top of the league, is it? Let's be honest. I think if Burnley canter clear, I don't think they're that fantastic. We beat them 5-2, by the way, a few weeks ago. Yeah. But we can't really look at Burnley and worry about what they do. We just have to keep grinding the games out, winning the games, making sure we win our home games, we win the odd away games, we don't get beat, defensively solid, etc. If we get something tonight, I think every single Sheffield United fan would have took this at the halfway point of the season, which it will be after tonight, won't it? We'll be 3, maybe 4 points clear, maybe 5 points clear. And don't forget the goal difference. I mean, the goal difference is virtually a point. Yeah. So we've got plus 16 there on the team immediately below.
That's interesting, isn't it? Burnley plus 22, Sheffield United plus 17, and then the next highest is Watford plus 8.
People tend to forget that it is worth a point. At the end of the day, that's worth a point. Of course they could catch us up. Of course Watford could win a game 5-0, 6-0, and all of a sudden they're just a bit behind us. But it's unlikely. We could do exactly the same. So we've managed to get that plus 17, and that's going to be crucial towards the end of the season.
Tell you what, it highlights to me just looking at that graphic. There aren't a lot. We've got the best. I would say the 2 top teams have got the best group of forwards. I don't think looking at that, you don't see any of the other teams having a centre forward who's going to come out and score lots and lots of goals, or they don't seem to have attacking lineups that are going to produce a lot of goals. Yes, there's 1 or 2 individuals out there who we can talk about, but it doesn't seem to. I mean, I remember we watched Preston, wasn't it? And it was dire. And you just kind of wonder as an ex centre forward. If I was playing in those teams, I'd be like going home crying because, but you're asking the team to be imaginative, to be inventive, and give you the opportunity to go and do your trade. But all I'm seeing is these teams that kind of set up and play nothing football. Watching Burnley down here was great. In that first half, they were really good, weren't they? But we nullified them, and we imposed ourselves on them. So. For me, it's very important that we've got the forward line that we have, and we've got the amount of forwards that we have. Yeah,
and Giant McBurney both on 9 apiece, and if that continues, they're on course to get 20 each potentially, and that usually, if you get one striker who gets you 20 plus goals, that usually puts you there or thereabouts. So here's a situation where Sheffield United might have 2. Carlos Arber did say before the World Cup break came along that he was all for it in terms of Sheffield United and the benefit it might have. Do you go along with that? Has it been a good thing that the break came when it did?
From a Sheffield United point of view, this season it's been a fantastic thing because we've had so many injuries. We've had key players out for long periods of time. And it allowed, just talking about McBurney, it allowed McBurney to have his hernia operation. You know, he will be recovered from that. Whereas it would have been unrealistic for him to just keep going and going and going with that hernia. It couldn't have been that bad, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to play at all. So it was obviously a slight hernia, but he would only have made it worse. So from that point of view, it's allowed our top centre forward to go to have an operation and come back virtually fully fit. It's allowed other people. It's allowed Sander Berg, you know, to come back tonight. He's been out injured for 6 weeks or so with ankle ligaments, so they're just giving an extra couple of weeks for him to recover in time. So from a Sheffield United point of view, yes, it's been a brilliant break. From a player point of view, I'm not sure I would want a mid-season break for that long. I like to just keep the momentum of playing. I was never a fantastic trainer. Training was a means to an end, the end being the matches. So I think a disruption in the middle of the season is not good from a player point of view. But for this season, in Sheffield United's predicament with injuries, it's been godsend.
So have a look at the recent form for Sheffield United. Let's have a look at the last 5 games as a snapshot. The only blip in there, of course, was the Rotherham game, winning 4 out of the last 5. But what's also interesting there, or what is going to clearly be a bonus for Sheffield United, a platform for success, is defensive solidity. You know, the amount of clean sheets they're managing to keep, and Brian mentioned it earlier. He has had to chop and change at the back. Egan aside, either side of him, he's had to try and get used to different partnerships. But yet they're still, in the main, defensively very strong, aren't they? Yeah,
we've had right-sided centre-backs having to play on the left-hand side. Anel's been over there. He hasn't looked very comfortable, actually. Basham's been over there. We've had Reece Norrington-Davis doing a great job as a left-side centre-back. Ender Stevens has done that job as well. So it's really good tonight, as I mentioned earlier, to have 3 of our, I would probably say our first-choice centre-backs in those positions. We've got Egan, we've got Anel, and we've got Kieran Clark. And we haven't seen much of Kieran Clark, but we're assuming he's going to take that left centre-back berth for the rest of the season. And we've had to chop and change. The people have come in. Robertson did okay, a couple of mistakes, but he's proved his worth. Bash, of course, we all know about Bash. You know, we can rely on Bash, can't we? He'll come in and do the job. So we have had to chop and change. But as I said earlier, I think defensively, the back 5 tonight, including the wing backs, probably our strongest defensive unit we could put out if everybody was fit. This is our strongest defence, and it's going to be crucial that we maintain that defensive solidity for the rest of the season, because as Brian just mentioned, going forward, always going to create stuff. We'll always score goals, but we need to keep clean sheets.
Kevin Gage and Brian Deane helping us build up to an 8 o'clock kick-off tonight, Wigan against Sheffield United. Now, one man who, of course, has been key to Sheffield United's success this season is Ollie Norwood. So let's find out more about him, shall we, with our quick-fire questions.
Few. Obviously, I've been around the world, been to the majority of the nice places, but Dubai, Maldives, Ibiza. So yeah, Portugal's obviously lovely as well. Been to quite a lot. We're quite lucky that I've managed to go to quite a lot. So I wouldn't say I particularly have a favourite, but I just like to go different places and see different things. Mrs. Doubtfire, I love watching that with the family, laughing and joking at that. So some of the young boys won't even know what that is. Yeah, I'll go with that, it's something a bit different. Probably The Office, the UK one, not the US one, the Ricky Gervais. I think we've got a few characters like him in the club. Golf or cricket, either. Love playing both. Probably see us in the mornings on the simulator on the golf, but I like a bit of cricket as well, so yeah, either of them.
You were a decent cricketer, weren't you, as a youngster?
Yeah, I used to enjoy playing cricket, so yeah, probably. If I wouldn't have played football, I probably would have played cricket, so. I enjoy boxing, I enjoy watching the boxing. Not that I'd ever get in there, I'm not hard enough for that, so I leave that to them, but no, I enjoy watching the boxing. It's quite bad to have it, but fish and chips, obviously being from up north, with all the gravy obviously. It's just a staple of our diet, isn't it, fish and chips. Probably Ricky Gervais, I love his stuff. A bit deep at times, a bit out there at times, but it's good stuff. Probably Tyson Fury, just like I say, I enjoy watching the boxing and his story and obviously what he went through and all that, and you know, to be the bottom of where he was to the top of the world again, it's an inspirational story, so yeah, probably somebody like Tyson Fury. could do without a phone, to be honest, and I'm not really that interested. Probably WhatsApp is what you use the most, isn't it? None of them. Bramall Lane. We can make it quite an intimidating place when we get it going, so I've enjoyed a lot of success in my time here, so obviously love playing there.
And if I said you couldn't say Bramall Lane, what would your second choice be?
Windsor Park in Northern Ireland, obviously when the times were good there, it was a special atmosphere and we had some really good times there, so yeah, I'd probably say Windsor Park. I ain't got time for that, I've got 2 kids.
Play the simulator, that might class as a computer game.
Just a dairy milk, standard dairy milk, pretty boring, but don't mind a dairy milk. I hate all that stuff, so I'm not really, no interest. I don't get starstruck or anything like that by people. I genuinely don't pay attention to many people, to be honest, so. I ain't done karaoke for years, but I remember my initiation was Brian Adams' Summer of '69. It's just quite easy to remember the words when you're up there and you're not a nice place to be. So yeah, Summer of '69.
Few things to pick out of that. Mrs. Doubtfire is Ollie Norwood's favourite film. I mean, I'm not going to disagree. I think it's a brilliant film. Brian Deane, you seen Mrs. Doubtfire? You must have. Please tell me you've seen it.
I have seen bits of it, you know.
Bits of it? It's a classic. It's an absolute classic. What would yours be then?
My favourite film?
Yeah, of all time.
You can't just rock that one on me right now. You know what I mean?
Can.
I've had no prep.
This is the content we're here for. Never mind the game. You want to know what Brian Deane's favourite film of all time is?
Oh, God, I don't know. Go to Gage.
Give me a few seconds. Come on, Kevin. Pick one.
Well, I'm not into these rom-coms, so I get dragged to the cinema by my wife to watch. So I'd always pick an action film. So off the top of my head, I'd do Saving Private Ryan, something like that, Top Gun or something cheesy like
Maverick's
that.
Good. Maverick's good.
Yeah, you want to be engrossed in all the action, with guns going and planes.
You thought what?
Godfather, that kind of thing.
Godfather.
Yeah,
He's just been thinking of cool films, hasn't he?
No.
Oh, what would be cool for Brian Deane to like? Oh, Godfather.
You just want to be entertained on a big screen with a bit of pick and mix, and
Initiation songs, was that something that existed when you played all those years ago?
No, not at all.
You sometimes see these things on social media. I can honestly say it wasn't a thing when we were around, was it? We didn't have to do anything ridiculous at all, no.
Foolish. No, nothing like that.
I mean, every single Sheffield United night out was somebody did something ridiculous anyway.
That was an initiation in itself, wasn't it?
Just get through it.
We'll talk about that after hours. But if you did have to do a song now, what would you go for?
Well, I've got a go-to song, which is the Jam down in the tube station at midnight, so I can do that off the cuff straight away.
Let's do it then. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time after all. We've got to hear it, haven't we? You can't give it the big setup like that and then not do it. What do you reckon?
Come on.
No, I'm not going to waste. I'm not going to waste.
Get him to do it.
4 minutes of SUTV football time on a song.
What about at half time? Get you to do it at half time. You can limber up. What would you go for?
Good question. Karaoke, I'll say Under the Bridge. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh,
yeah, bit different.
He's being all cool again, isn't he?
I'm not.
Do you want to give us a blast?
No,
no, I didn't think.
After Kevin.
Half time, folks. We'll talk him into it for half time. Oliver Norwood, who we were listening to there. I mean, I know we've touched on him before, but he's so central, isn't he, to what Sheffield United do? And he's had his critics in the past, but the way that he allows you to get up the pitch and he can change the direction of a game with his passing, that's really important, isn't it, to have a player like that in your team, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've seen games where he's been out of form, and I've questioned whether or not he should be playing. But I think you look at him, and it's exactly what you say. Sometimes you need somebody who sets a tempo, and sometimes you need somebody who calms the tempo down and gives you that option of a long pass, of a short pass, of a square pass, you know. And I think he's a person who seems to have that footballing brain that knows which pass to play when, you know. But
to be that kind of player, there's got to be a certain amount of bravery as well, isn't there? Because there is a risk that you'll try the Hollywood pass and it won't come off. But in order to pull it off, you've got to try it in the first place. And that takes a certain mentality of player as well, doesn't it?
You can see him gearing up for the threaded through ball, can't you? He's got the stock standard, like the Hollywood pass, as you say, out wide, usually to Baldock on the right-hand side. He loves that one, doesn't he? But he also plays a fantastic ball to Baldock, as Baldock makes that run inside across the defenders, and he seems to be able to float the ball over the defence, into his path. But yeah, he's I call him the quarterback. He's involved in absolutely everything. And what tends to happen now is Egan will just knock a 5-yard ball to him, and Norwood will pick it up. So Egan doesn't have to come out with the ball so much, and Norwood will direct the traffic, direct the play. I think he's just getting better and better and better. And also this season, what's been happening is he's putting himself about an awful lot more. He's making more challenges. He's intercepting the ball, and he's brought that into his game. And I don't think that was part of his game 3 or 4 years ago. And I think he's adapted and he's got better at that side of the game. Because most holding midfielders, they're not Norwood types in the Championship. They're combative. They interrupt play. They're a defensive, destructive force. Norwood is completely different. He's an attacking force from that central position.
For a long time, he did have John Fleck doing that kind of business for him alongside, and obviously there's been long spells where John Fleck hasn't been there. So do you think he's taken that upon himself? Look, I've got to try and do 2 jobs here.
I think sometimes as you get older, you get more experience, you want more responsibility, and obviously, Fleck has had a few injury issues and so on. But I think that he's been fantastic this season. I think he's been a standout player, and like you say, I think the older you get, the more mature you get, the more your experience, you start to see things a little bit differently, and he's definitely one who's kind of grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and taken it on and moved the team on as well.
Well, we're building up to Sheffield United away at Wigan tonight. Kick-off 8 o'clock, by the way. But just to mark your card for what we've got coming your way. Boxing Day, not far away now. Sheffield United at home against Coventry. You can watch that game with us. We're on air from 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock kick-off on Boxing Day. Then on the 29th, make note of this, 8:15 kick-off. 8:15 kick-off. Sheffield United away at Blackpool on the 29th. We'll be on air from 7:30. And then an 8 o'clock kick-off on the 2nd of January, down at Loftus Road. Neil Critchley's now Queen's Park Rangers, and we will be on air from 7 for that one. If you are still looking for that perfect Christmas gift, well, the answer may well lie here at Bramall Lane. The team of the club shop are waiting to see you this Christmas. Right, let's take a delve into the archive, shall we? The 2018-2019 season, Sheffield United headed to the DW Stadium on New Year's Day.
Well, Wigan Athletic will be hoping 2019 will bring an upturn in their fortunes in the Championship, as they endured a poor run towards the end of last year, winning only 1 of their last 12 games. In swinging corner. It's a good ball as well. Goalkeeper decided to stay at home. Now he does decide to come, although his teammate got in the way. Still not been dealt with, and there it is! In goal, it's David McGoldrick. It's his 9th goal of the season. He's now scored in his last 3 league games as well. And Wigan finds they'll be encouraged as well by the way that they played at times in that first half. Clipped up towards the far post, but the goalkeeper does well. He's looking to try and get on with it quickly with the goal kick that he lumps downfield, and Billy Sharp has got onto the end of it as well. Sharp, what a layoff that is, and now Duffy inside the area, and Sheffield United have a second. It is a nightmare start for Wigan Athletic to this second half, just 3 minutes played. Keeper, big kick downfield, he found Billy Sharp, and his layoff found its way into Mark Duffy. Didn't find his target. Morsey in there trying to win possession back, but the away side come forward down this right-hand side. Duffy with a lovely ball through, and here is Billy Sharp, and it is a big, big goal in the career of Billy Sharp. It is his 220th Football League goal, which is the most of anyone in the 21st century. Wherever he's been, he's scored goals, and the Sheffield United captain has surely sealed all 3 points for his side here. A tap-in, which he scored plenty of in his career. And Wigan, unfortunately, are sinking without trace. You just feel as though the wind has been completely taken out of their sails as the full-time whistle goes and Wigan's poor run of form continues.
He's not going to do it. I did ask him. He's just been singing off air, Brian Deane, and he was singing the Red Hot Chili Peppers song, but he just wouldn't do it live, would you?
No.
Still time, still time. That was a landmark game for Billy Sharp, incidentally. You might recall it made him the all-time top scorer this century in the Football League. And something like that would mean a lot to a striker, having been one yourself, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take anything, you know. But definitely, I mean, Billy's been a phenomenal striker. You know, his goals, games ratio. It's going to be very hard to see somebody top what he's done, you know.
Absolutely. Well, let's have a look at the team tonight. Billy Sharp's in it. Keeps his place in the starting lineup, having scored the winning goal against Huddersfield, 9 days ago now? Just the one change. Sander Berge is in. Ben Osborne drops out completely, struggling with a bit of a hamstring problem, we are told. So that's Sheffield United and how they will line up to tonight. You can see the bench there as well. Cadra, Lowe, Bogle, Doyle, McBurney and Basham, the outfield players. In terms of the system, well, that's pretty much set in stone these days, isn't it, really? It's what we've come to expect. McAtee and Berger. How do you see those two working in that midfield area tonight? Do you think McAtee will go to the right, or do you think Berger and McAtee will swap over?
No, Berger will play on the right, won't he? Because he's not, obviously McAtee's a left-sided player. So, I mean, McAtee, I think Berger's strength is going forward, as we've seen countless times. Might have to play a little bit more of a holding role, purely because McAtee, he is far more of a creative force going forward. So I don't think he's got too many defensive bones in his body. So maybe Sander might have to just curtail his attacking instincts at times, just to give a little bit of help to Norwood in there. So, but I'm pleased McAtee's got the manager's vote of confidence and got starting berth, because he's been a good player. In the last game, I think before the World Cup break, he came on as sub and he changed the game for us. He set up the goal for Baldock with a back heel. It didn't quite come off, but it created a little bit of confusion, and Baldock scored from it. So I did think he made a really positive impact when he came on as sub, and he's a quality player, and I think he will really push on second half of the season, and we'll see the best of him.
He's got options now, hasn't he? I mean, not that he's not had options in the past, but the fact that players are returning from injury, Brian, he'll turn to his bench and think, I've actually got players who can make a difference here that can come on. You know, in the past, it's not always been the case this season. He's had some young kids on the bench that ideally in other circumstances he wouldn't have wanted to throw in. But now, when you look at the players coming back, Bogle, Max Lowe, for example, obviously Sanders back now as well, Jebberson's on the way back, Tommy Doyle as well. We've not mentioned him, and he was terrific.
He was great
before he got injured.
Our bench is looking extremely strong this evening. But yeah, just looking at those players coming back from injury, Robinson did well, and he may be a few weeks. I mean, we haven't even mentioned Bogle tonight. I mean, he was brilliant in the last season and the first part of this season before he got injured. But Baldock's playing really well. I can't make a case for bringing Bogle back in, because Baldock's really raised his game. But the other players, you know, Max Lowe, we saw how good he was first part of the season. Haven't seen a lot of Kubley, of course, but Sander Berge, we don't need to talk about him anymore. Doyle, we've just mentioned, and Oliver McBurney and I were joint top scorer. As soon if he can get back as fit as he was and get in that rich vein of form, then we're well set for the next 3 months of the season.
Yeah. I mean, what's nice about this is you look at the players and they all slot into the system quite easily, you know, and you can have different systems. I just think that how they've gone about the recruitment has been spot on, you know, because people get injured, and we talked about this. There was a couple of games where, you know, we had a lot of injuries, and we really found out a little bit about some of the younger players. They're not quite ready yet, but seeing all of those players coming back now, I mean, that is a very strong squad, very strong.
What about Wigan? tonight. I mean, struggling in the league, a bit of a strange situation there. Liam Richardson has been sacked, despite the fact he was given a new 3-year contract, and Kolo Touré's come in, a big name, of course, as a player. No managerial experience, but got a draw in his first game at Millwall. Played very well in that game, apparently, as well. But they are, aren't they, for Sheffield United in particular, an unknown quantity tonight?
Well, the bottom line is they're not very good, which is why they're, you know, bottom of the league. Unfortunately, we're going to experience the new manager bounce, aren't we? Which is, you know, is a cliche, but it is actually a thing. This is their first home game under the new manager, and someone like Kolo Touré walking into a dressing room with what he's achieved in his career, immediate respect from all the players. You know, that's no disrespect to some of the managers they have had in the past, but when he's talking to you and he's on the training ground, you will listen, and you will take notice of what he says. And I would think that's had a major impact on their squad. Now, it's surprised to see them bottom, actually, because they were League One champions last year. They've had no momentum whatsoever. So I expect them to be better in the second half of the season. I just hope it doesn't start tonight. And I think it's a really difficult place to go this evening. You know, it's the cliche, a cold Monday night in Wigan. We're playing a team. We've won the last 3 games away that we've played. We've kept clean sheets. You know, at some stage we're probably going to let in a goal. We're not going to, you know, go for weeks and weeks and weeks without letting in a goal. So maybe, you know, that it might be a chance for Wigan to get a goal or two. But how do we react from that? You know, will our creative players respond, and can we get the goals to win?
I'm fascinated by the appointment of Kolo Touré. You know, I heard somebody on radio being very disrespectful towards him. You know, saying that it was a Hollywood sign. Listen, the guy has been with Brendan Rodgers up in Scotland. He's been at Leicester. Do you know what I mean? He's won titles. He's captained the national team. You know, and to hear somebody who's never played the game, but somebody who works on radio say something about that, it kind of niggled me a little bit, because I thought, well, you know, here's somebody who's got all that experience, everything, you know, that can perhaps... It can be a culture shift at a club like Wigan, you know, because traditionally Wigan's kind of like a up and atom type place. You know, it's not the kind of place you want to be going and being soft and living there. You know what I mean? But you know, and I think that it might take a little bit of time. I mean, hopefully, you know, we don't see a shift now. But I think with everything that somebody like him brings to the game, it's going to be really fascinating to see the journey.
And Burnley, I think, are finding something similar with Vincent Kompany as well, you know, who can bring a lot to the table in that regard.
Serial winners.
Yeah. We've got to look at the Wigan team. It's nice and straightforward. It's the same team, actually, that Kolo Touré has gone for this one. So unchanged from the draw at Millwall. So it'll be Jones in goal, and we think a back four of Darikwa, Watmo, Tilt and Bennett. Power and Naylor, the 2 sitting midfield players. Then it's Lang, Keane and McLean. And Broadhead will play as the lone striker. In terms of the players to look out for, Jack Watmo, former Portsmouth player, has been suffering with a hamstring issue of late, but he's fit again now. Max Power's been around the block and been around for what feels like forever. He is actually their chief creator this season when you break the numbers down, so a player that Sheffield United perhaps need to be wary of. We all know about James McLean, an international player with Premier League experience. Will Keane is the top scorer. He's contributed to 10 goals this season, scoring 8. He scored 26 last season in the league below. And Callum Lang got 15 last season, but just the 1 this time around. So there are players there who potentially could cause Sheffield United a problem. We'll come back to Wigan a little bit later on. We're around about 13 minutes away from kick-off at the DW Stadium, Wigan against Sheffield United. Time now to hear our exclusive interview with Sander Berge, who of course returned to action against Huddersfield from the bench last time out. He starts though tonight.
Yeah, it was, I waited for that for quite a while now, and obviously World Cup came at a good time for me due to my injury, but yeah, worked hard to get back, and it was nice to get some minutes again, even though a little bit rusty, and just get that out of my leg and then and my body, then we'll be good.
Yeah, you mentioned the World Cup was a good time for you. How hard did you have to work during the impasse?
Yeah, it's as every injured period, you know, you work hard to get as soon as possible back. And with injury in the ankle as I had, it's obviously a little bit more, you can push on, but it's about being a little bit patient during the period. So it's a balance, obviously, and you obviously want it to go as fast as possible. But luckily I had time now with the game and the break, obviously. So it was nice to be back in time for the game and to get some minutes, and yesterday as well, playing against Leicester.
Yeah, going to say behind closed doors, friendly yesterday. That must have really helped boost not just yours, but a number of players' fitness at this moment in time.
Yeah, that was key. That came at a really good time. Obviously, it was perfect for me that we had a little bit time between the Huddersfield and the Wigan game now, that I could play a big part in that game, and played about 70-75 minutes against a really strong side. So to get the legs going there and find the rhythm again, and that was perfect.
Imagine the cold weather can be a bit of an inconvenience for some, but I'm guessing you're quite used to it being from Norway, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm kind of used to it in that way. Yeah. But normally we had off season this time of the year in Norway, but our pre-season, obviously January, February, March, that was cold, but we were mostly inside due to the cold weather and no pitches, so artificial grass inside. So.
And this run that Sheffield United are on at the moment, how important is it that they continue it through the festive period and into the new year now?
Oh, it's massive. The form we've kept and the consistency in our performances, even though we've struggled with quite a lot of injuries and people going in and out a little bit of the team in terms of struggling with fitness. So. It's been tough, obviously, to maintain where we've been, but I think that everyone has pushed through well, and it's shown the strength of the group, that we have 20-25 players who can compete at this level in a good way. And where we are right now is a good place to be, obviously, but it can change quickly in this league, and we know the importance of every game, and coming into the Monday game, we know how important that is, and every away game is tough, and every game is different and difficult, so we need to be at our best to keep the points.
And it is Wigan next. They've got a new manager in Kolo Toure, so we might be able to expect a bit of the unknown from them, perhaps?
Yeah, I assume so. Obviously, he was at Leicester, so I think after what I understood, he wants to play a little bit like they do. So obviously, we got a very good version of that yesterday. But it'll be interesting to see them, and first time I'm playing them, so will be good and nice to come away there. And we just have to be at our best, Obviously, always have respect and understand the strengths of the opponents. But if we are at our best, it will be a tough game for everyone.
Great to see him back, and let's hope now that he can stay fit to the end of the season, because clearly he's a big player, but he also adds that bit of physicality, doesn't he, at the top end of the pitch as well, that sometimes Sheffield United don't always have.
Yeah, he's enigma, isn't he? He's got so much ability on the ball, but you don't realise how tall he is and how physically imposing is it until you stand next to him. Yeah. I was at an event with him the other day. I was interviewing him, and he's huge. He's 6'4", and you can imagine him bursting at you with pace and power. You wouldn't be able to get near him as a defender. We've seen that so many times, haven't we, where he bursts down the right-hand side, gliding past people, and not even really breaking sweat, it seems. But once he gets going, virtually unplayable for defenders. And yeah, you're right, if he can get back and fit, he's going to be such an asset the next few months.
Brian, you're looking like you're contemplating something there.
I'm a huge fan of him. And I think at times I'd love to see him really take games by the scruff of the neck, because I think he's got the ability to win games on his own if he really believes it. There's been times where I'm watching games and he's receiving the ball and he's about 25 yards, and instead of taking a shot, he's playing that ball down the side, and I'm like, just shoot, you've got great technique.
That's the problem with players like that. You want them to attack people and dribble past people all the time, and it's not possible all the time, is it? You have to pick your moments, and we need to get him in those spaces, as you say, 30-35 yards out from goal, just on the inside right channel. Yes, he can play the ball to Baldock, or he can slide someone inside, but sometimes just go at defenders, just take them on, push it and drift past them.
You've got to get off into your commentary chair, so I'll let you do that. Before you do go, I have to ask you what your prediction is going to be tonight.
Okay, I think we'll come out on top, because I think we're far, far better than Wigan. I think we've too many creative players, so I think we'll score enough goals to win. So but I do think Wigan may score. I think they'll get that bounce of the manager, and it'll be a tough game. But I expect us to win. I'm going to go for 2 or 3-1.
Okay, right. Well, we'll see you back at half-time for your karaoke. Look forward to that. We'll let Kevin get off to the commentary chair now. Let's now hear from the Blades manager, Paul Heckingbottom, who sees this festive period as a great chance to extend the gap on the chasing pack.
The harder we work now, the more points we get, the easier things can become. And that's not to say we're complacent. You've got to earn every one, and we know. We're playing a team now with a brand new manager who had looked really organised and had a good, positive result at a tough place to go at the weekend. First home game, probably as tough as it's going to get for us. So we have to be ready for it. But it's the same old message when whoever we play this season, when in this league, if we don't come and be strong, we can either win games by being at his best with the ball, without the ball, or just being really resolute and strong, or produce everything. But we know we've got to be worthy winners. We've got to produce something to win the game, because teams they're not going to roll over.
Are they still very much going to be a bit of an unknown quantity with Colo Torre just finding his feet?
Yeah, they could change again. They could have been working on a lot. I mean, I think Colo would have preferred to have gone in at the beginning of that break and had all those weeks to plan. He got, a good full week in, which is rare, but he would have liked more. But again, now he's had another 9 days, so there could be changing shape, personnel. As I say, I think that's, for us then, it's usually the simplest way and most effective ways for us to focus on ourselves.
Brian Deane just asking me where I got my shoes from. I don't know, I'll have to ask her indoors. I'll let you know that, mate.
They look all right, but it is dark.
Oh, right, cheers, yeah. Listen, I'm happy with that. I'm happy to give Brian Deane fashion advice. I never thought I'd be doing that.
You can definitely do that.
Thank you. Back to the matter in hand, the game tonight. How do you see this one going?
Kind of agree with Kevin, really. I think that it's going to be a tough game. I think that with games like this, you've always got to establish yourself.
Yeah.
You can't give the opposition a sniff that, they can be in this game. And I think that means that we have to match them from the beginning in terms of effort and energy. And then just, try and impose ourselves, then take over, as it was, dominate areas of the pitch. And let the quality that we've got in the forward areas, if we can get them on the ball in the right areas, then I really feel we can be out of sight pretty quickly.
I'm really interested to see what the Colo Touré philosophy will be. He said he wants to play an attacking brand of football, but because of the pedigree he's got, and he's been working with Brendan Rodgers for a long while, do you think he'll try and get Wigan, mould them into a team that takes care of the ball and tries to keep possession a little bit more?
Yeah, I think the other thing is when you get a defender who's a head coach, then for me, it's very hard for them to kind of look at it in a way that says, well, I'm going to play expansive football. I mean, Vincent Kompany is a little bit different, but Vincent Kompany can go to Manchester City and he can go to Belgium and he can get exciting players in. But I think sometimes if you're starting to have that, like Colo Touré is taking over a team, he hasn't brought anybody in. I'll be interested to see how he gets the best out of those players and talks about being expansive. But yeah, I think his first job is to make sure that they don't concede. George Graham, when I was at Leeds, came in, and the first thing George did was make sure that we didn't concede goals. I mean, we played 7 centre halves, but we absolutely made sure that first thing we did was stop the rot, and then we could build on top of it. And it'll be interesting to see if he's taken anything about any of that. But as we know with Brendan Rodgers, he's a flair type of manager as well. So interesting.
I tip my hat to him because, with all due respect, Wigan aren't the most glamorous club around, and he's taken the challenge on. So fair play to him for that. Prediction time?
2-1.
2-1.
To us.
2-1 to Sheffield United, Brian is going for. Do join us at half-time where we'll have singing from Brian Deane and Kevin Gage. That is a world exclusive. So I've got 45 minutes to try and talk them into that. But, Johnny's back at half-time and maybe, just maybe, you're in for a treat. But time now to hand you across to your commentary team ready for this game at the DW Stadium. It's Wigan against Sheffield United. Here's Kevin Gage and Matt Young.